What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Spider-Man's DLC for the Avengers will be shown at the Game Awards 2020. So, yes, another video on the Game Awards. I really want to keep this train coming. I'm going to be changing it up a little bit over the next couple days. I'll talk about overall predictions for it. I think games, like collections of games that I think could be there, won't be there, kind of putting it in one video for you guys. If you guys are new to the channel, I've been covering the Game Awards for weeks now. I've talked about, it's been probably like 15, 20 different games that we've talked about individually. Will they be there? Could they be there? What would they show? So we've done it individually. Over the next couple of days, again, I want to kind of put it all together. So again, if you are new and you do like this kind of stuff, make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on. If you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, PodcastNow15 is my Twitter username. You can see it on the video. You can also, there's a link for it in the description below, or you can just search me up on Twitter, PodcastNow15. All right, so this is an interesting one, and let me make my case. So I've been watching I've been in the Jeff Keighley Zoom calls. Okay, call me privileged, call me whatever, because I know some people do that for whatever reason. But and we've talked about this, right? I've talked about some of the things that I've heard Jeff Keighley say. Now he hasn't directly confirmed nor denied like anything, but I do feel like we've gotten a good sense of what to expect at the Game Awards this year because of those Zoom calls. I'm going to be using that more in the overall summary videos we'll do over the coming days. But one thing interesting he said this past one was that, there's games that are already out that people are into, and there's also games that people already know people are into, and they can show stuff on that. He talked about Among Us. Obviously, Among Us, we're going to get that new map, and that's kind of that's where I'm using this. So what we have here is a game that was popular day one, and again, no matter where, this isn't really a video of like hating on or not. It's really just a video again of like, could they do something like this? Could they announce or show the Spider-Man DLC here? Again, there's a couple aspects to it. Again, number one, is the game popular enough? I think it is. I think obviously the popularity has faded away, but when you announce Kate Bishop, when you do like Clint's or Hawkeye, when you're doing these things, I do think you can get people excited, at least in that moment, and really, in terms of the Game Awards, that's probably all they're really looking for, right? They don't need to have an announcement that gets people excited and then also like carries that excitement for like 2-3 weeks. Really, if they're just excited that day, it's fine. And another thing is, again, it's a game that's been out that has stuff that you can still show that maybe you want a big audience. And that's another thing, too. Think about what's happened with Avengers, okay? It's basically died. Now, again, and we talked about this even yesterday with the Kate Bishop video, right? I get people are still playing it. I know there's people that like it, okay? I'm not against anybody. You can think whatever you want, right? I'm not saying anything against that. But the general audience, again, statistically, has fallen off. They're not playing it anymore. Most of, again, like 96% of people, and every day that goes on, I'm sure it gets higher, 96% of people are no longer playing this game. That's terrible. There's no way of defending that. It's just awful. But it's a game that has a lot of people that could return to it. And it's also a game that if you say something, will have a lot of eyes on it. So I think the Game Awards is a good platform to get out there and promote something. Now, here's the issue. I purposely said Spider-Man for this. You could have said Black Panther, and maybe that would be different. To me, that's definitely possible. We can talk about all those aspects. I think an Avengers announcement in general at the Game Awards is a possibility. I really do. Whether it's a release date for the next-gen versions, because to be quite honest with you, I forgot the next-gen versions didn't come for this game. Remember, they were supposed to come with next-gen, and it got delayed along with the DLC. So they said that's early 2021. They said Clint Hawkeye is early 2021. That's another issue, too. You could say, well, why would they announce Spider-Man or show Spider-Man when you still have Hawkeye and all that stuff? I mean, so the order here is we have 4 characters, right? We have Kate Bishop, we have Hawkeye. Those are the first 2. Black Panther could very well be 3. He could also be 4, though. A War Machine could be 3. So those are the first 4. It doesn't look like Captain Marvel's part of those first 4. Those are the first 4. Spider-Man is probably 5. Now, at the rate that they're going with these, I wouldn't expect Spider-Man until like April or May at the earliest, truly. And that kind of sucks. I don't think that's necessarily what they wanted or what they were planning on in the first place, but I think that's what's going to happen, okay? Now, again, so do you do that? Well, my thing is this. My defense, or the reason why I think they would do it, is 2 things. Number one, there's really no character that can bring people back to this game more than Spider-Man in a way, because I know what people are going to say is, well, Spider-Man's only on one console, and that is an issue. I'm willing to say that, right? When you're trying to get a majority, a vast majority of your user base to come back, announcing a character or focusing really hard on a character that's only available on one platform is a way to get one platform back, but it's not a way to get everybody back, okay? However, we don't know the individual sales. In fact, only they know the individual sales. If 70% of people are playing this game on PlayStation, then maybe there is you know what I mean? There could be a reason, because it's like, well, we are dissing everybody else. You were dissing everybody else by making the deal in the first place. That's an important note, right? You're dissing everybody else, but the majority of people are playing it on this platform. So are we really dissing that many people? You know what I mean? Like, you have to make those calls. That's Square Enix's call. That's up to them to make that call. And the second reason why this could be a thing is Sony. Now, the issue here, and this is where I think the knowledge of the Game Awards and knowledge of Jeff Keighley, makes its point, or like allows me to say this. From what I know and from what Jeff Keighley has said, he doesn't want Game Awards, any of them, not just this year, any of them, to be too much on one console, because in fact, other companies actually kind of get jealous / mad when they do that. I'm not sure if Sony got super mad when they announced the Series X last year, but he has said in the past that, like, if they focus too hard on one developer or publisher or whatever, and it doesn't have to be Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, but if it becomes like an E3 show for one of them, the others get mad. Okay, so that's important to know. And why is it important to know? Well, because it means that none of these companies are going to have too many times they're going in the spotlight. I honestly think all of them will have their times. We'll be talking about a Nintendo game that could be at the Game Awards later on in this week. Xbox, they could show a Halo Infinite thing. Maybe they could show something from like Avowed or I don't know, something. Like, I think Xbox could be there in some way, or maybe the medium. PlayStation, we know PlayStation's role seems to be the Silent Hill game. Okay, that's seems like they're going to announce the new Silent Hill game there, which is a PlayStation exclusive. So, again, like, all the points I'm making to say why Spider-Man could be there, you can easily use against me, and I encourage you to, honestly, because it's a fair point, and it's a fun discussion. Again, like, it's a good idea to do Spider-Man because he is the biggest name. I would say besides Black Panther. I think Black Panther would also get people in. But besides that, I think Spider-Man is bigger anyway. So that is one thing. But again, the reverse of that, you could say, well, Alex is only on one console. Agreed. The second thing is what I just said. Sony could use this because, again, Sony probably paid millions of dollars. Maybe not millions, but I would assume a fair amount of money to get Spider-Man into this game. And for a game that's got 4% of the people left playing it that bought it day one, I'd probably bet Sony isn't happy with that. So maybe Sony wants to do it and say, hey, can you show anything on Spider-Man? Get people excited. Get it so that maybe you have a player base for when Spider-Man comes, so it's worth the contract we worked out with you. That's my line of thinking. I'm sure that's probably happened in the background anyway, where Sony's like, are you guys kidding me? Like, we spent this money, and we spent that amount of money, however much money it is, for like, what, 50, 60,000 people to end up playing Spider-Man? Like, that's a joke. So I'm sure they're mad. In fact, I would honestly guarantee that. But again, you could use it in the reverse and say, well, if they're only, say, allowed, when we could say, because Jeff Keighley can turn things down. In fact, he's talked about, he has turned multiple games down this Game Awards, okay? Multiple companies have gone up to him and said, hey, can you show this? And he said no, okay? Because they already have so much stuff. So, now I'm not saying he said no to Avengers. In fact, I don't think he would say no to Avengers, but he can only have so much. So if Sony says, hey, we want to do 18 things, and Jeff Keighley said, well, we just can't do that. You know what I mean? But in all reality, hey, if you're only allowed, say, 2 things each, or maybe 1 thing. If it's 1 thing, it's Silent Hill. That's already booked. Say they're allowed 2 things each. Well, they could have the Mystery Uncharted game. They could have PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale 2. You could just throw around different examples. They could do anything that they could show God of War gameplay. I know a lot of people actually are hoping / some are expecting Ragnarok gameplay. Possible. Horizon Forbidden West gameplay? Possible. So, can you have all of them? No, you flat out cannot. So, I do get the reverse. However, if you take this as Avengers is not Sony, then you can make it work. But again, having Spider-Man, the announcement of a Spider-Man DLC directly connects you to Sony. You know what I mean? That's kind of favoritism, right? Where it's like, okay, well, that is a Sony. It's not a Sony first-party game, but it's a deal they made with Sony. It'd be the same thing if like Far Cry came out with like an exclusive Xbox like thing at the Game Awards, right? It's a Far Cry. It's for third parties, but you're talking about something that only Xbox people can do. So it's not exact. So I would consider that an Xbox thing. You know what I mean? So I do think it's possible. I think with the situation the game is in, I would say it's almost likely that they have probably gone up to Jeff Keighley and said, hey, can we show something? Because again, you got to think there are tens of millions, and that is a lot, because sometimes you don't even get that for E3 or Gamescom and stuff like that. There are so many people watching the Game Awards every year, and it continues to go up. I mean, imagine what that's like for developers and publishers, where they're like, man, you know, this game sold okay, we want it to sell more, we want to get people back. This is the best case scenario. We get this in front of as many people as we can. Maybe we show Black Panther, we show gameplay. Maybe we show Spider-Man, maybe we show gameplay, and go from there. And that would get a lot of people excited. So I'm not sold on Spider-Man. In fact, I would say that's kind of unlikely, although a fun, I would say, discussion. Black Panther, though, I honestly feel like that's a bigger one. I feel like that could very well happen. And again, that would kind of make it, well, that's just a separate thing. They're not attached to Sony. They're not attached to Microsoft. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think there'll be an announcement? Do you think they'll announce Spider-Man, Black Panther? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. Again, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. The link for that is in the description below. More videos. I've been covering the Game Awards for the last several weeks. I'm going to continue it for the next week and a half, and I'll have, again, like summary things, and then it's game time, and we'll be talking about anything and everything that happens at the Game Awards, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.